up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we're reviewing Die Hard 2 Die Harder. This one came out in 1990 and stars Bruce Willis and Reginald VelJohnson. Now, before we start with the like button, subscribe, and post notification bell so you can never miss every video. Let's just start. Let's start talking about the good. So, all the actors and actors in this film, I thought they were great, especially Bruce Willis and William Sadler as the villain. I'll get to William Sadler later, but Bruce Willis is very good once again as John McClane. The opening sequence is very, very entertaining. It is very funny, especially John McClane's car being towed away. Very funny, and I thought it works for the opening of this film. The cinematography, which of course through shots of cameras and lighting, I thought it was good. It wasn't as bad as some of the films in this franchise. I thought it was not as good as the first Die Hard. The first Die Hard, the cinematography in that film, I liked it because it was that late 80s film. And it had that whole feel to it. But this film, the cinematography overall was fine. The first act of the film, I thought it was good enough. It sets up the characters good enough. It gives you a little bit of information about where the characters that we saw in the previous film, where they are now. And I think it works because the three characters that were in the first film that are now in this one, I enjoyed them once again in this film. And you have some new characters. William Sadler, who's Colonel William Stewart. He is He's good in the film, but like I stated, I'll get to him later. But a lot of the characters that are returning, you have the news reporter returning. He was funny. The action sequences are awesome. I really like the action sequences in this film, especially the entire airport sequence where it ends with John McClane sitting in the seat and he has a close-up of him flying in the air with the flames going up. Awesome sequences. There's also a good return and dialogue between Holly McClane, who was played by Bonnie Bedelia, who was of course in the previous film, Sergeant Al Powell, who's played by Reginald VelJohnson, who was also in the previous film, and Richard Thornburg, played by William Atherton, who was also in the first film as the news reporter. I thought they all had a very, very good dialogue between each other. The second act of the film I thought was fun. It's a fun and entertaining second act, not boring. I thought that the second act was very quick and very fast-paced. Not as good of a second act as Die Hard, but it was fast-paced enough. The tense sequences. There are many tense sequences within this film, especially the airport sequence, which is in that first act of the film, where you have all those robbers joining and just walking through the airport, kind of like the first film, but still entertaining. And the airplane crash, which was the end of the second act, very, very tense sequence. There are also great callbacks and references to Die Hard from 1988. I really liked a lot of the callbacks from that previous film. The story, I thought it was good enough. It was fine. It wasn't a bad story, but it wasn't as good as the first Die Hard, of course. The score was good. Michael Kamen did the score. I thought it was good. It was not as good, of course, as a previous Die Hard score. The Die Hard 1988 score is awesome. This one is not that good, but it's still okay. The third act of the film, I thought it was very entertaining. There's also a nice small twist in the third act with Major Grant, who's played by John Amos, who's working for Colonel William Stewart, who's played by William Sadler. I thought the twist in the third act was good enough. And the ending sequence, I thought it was great. I really liked the way that the director concluded this film. Of course, it's kind of like the first film where Holly Gennaro and John McClane, of course, are reunited. And it's kind of like the first film, but I thought it was great. That's all the good that I have. Now let's move on to the bad. So there are some unnecessary sequences. Like there's one sequence in the first act of the film that was pretty unnecessary. I don't understand why it needs to be included in this film. They could have cut that out and made this runtime just a bit shorter. There are some sequences that are a bit slow. There are some sequences in the second act where I felt that it was dragging a little bit, where they could have condensed it, like I stated. And Colonel William Stewart, who's played by William Sadler, he's okay, but he is very, very forgettable. I forgot all of his motives by the end of watching the film because I didn't really care about his villain. Now, Hans Gruber, of course, is one of my favorite villains of all time because, first of all, it's Alan Rickman. Second of all, he was a very, very good villain because he wasn't sort of that terrorist that we all thought he was. He was just there for the money. That's basically all he was there for. And he played the part to perfection. William Stewart, this film is not that memorable. That's about it. Die Hard 2 Die Harder is a fun and entertaining sequel that is not as good as the first film, but I still think that it is worth a watch. So Die Hard 2 Die Harder, I'm going to give it a B-. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and post notification bell so you know if you have a video. I'm Peter. Thanks for watching.